Before Restore, I was just filled with a lot of anger and a lot of fear. And some of my themes were not wanting to burden others with my emotions, perfectionism, OCD, and just most of all, anxiety. When I experienced anxiety, I felt really, really abandoned by God. I felt like He didn't want to help me or see me in those moments. And when I started Restore, I shared my testimony, and I ended my testimony by saying, I hate my story, I hate having to talk about it, and basically I don't want to be here talking about my story. And I just had so much anger. Throughout Restore, I feel like every week I came in with my wrestling singlet on. I just asked so many questions and just really felt like I was wrestling with God. I asked a lot of just like rabbit trails, like, what is God's power? What does that actually mean? Like, is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it a feeling? Like, how do I access that power? And just went down all these questions and doubts about like, is God really there for me? What am I even doing being a Christian? Like, just all the way down to the bottom of it. And when I got there, down all those rabbit trails, God revealed to me that just my issue is trust. And when I really got to that point of, whoa, my issue is trust, I thought, wait, this is too simple. It has to be some complicated answer, but really it was trust. And when I realized that, I kind of got to the point where I had to say, okay, my trust has to be in something deeper than just my anxiety going away. My hope has to be in something truer and more long-lasting than just, not ever being afraid ever again in my life. And God really met me there. So God was really working on restoring my relationship with Him and just how I saw Him. And one passage that really meant a lot to me was in Luke 12, where I think the title of the passage is The Cure for Anxiety. And I was like, okay. But then when I got to the point where it said, consider the wildflowers and just how God takes care of them and clothes them, something just really clicked for me. I just love flowers and I love receiving them. And it just felt like God was saying like, okay, you don't have to work really hard or figure everything out. You just have to accept this flower from me, this gift, this like symbol of beauty and friendship, and just consider that and trust me instead of just doing all of these things to try to figure everything out. And that just really changed how I saw God, and just in my heart it changed, not just my head, but like now when I see a flower and I'm anxious, I'm like, okay, consider the flowers. Like God takes care of this flower, and He's not saying, just trust me more, or like, I'm so mad at you for being anxious right now, or just figure it out, like, just think about it more. He's saying like, here's a flower, and I love you. And that was just really special for me. I definitely don't have everything figured out. I still feel like this is kind of the beginning of my journey, not that it's tied up in a little bow, which I wish I could say that it is, but it's really not. Anxiety does still really trigger those feelings of abandonment and fear and just kind of hopelessness that I've felt before. It's not fixed, but I do know that God has changed how I see my story, and that I can't change my story. What's happened in my life has happened, but I can change how I respond to it and how in the moment I see God and how I see myself and how all of those things work together. And so practically, I'm still really figuring it out. I am still figuring out how to experience God's comfort and peace, and it's not perfect. It's a little messy, but I am working on bringing my hope back to that truer and deeper level where I trust God with whatever happens.